Kana Kokun, Kohan?
Cyclothon,
or better known by his online alias, CDawgVA, has become one of YouTube and Twitch's biggest content creators. From his early days making Black Butler prank call videos and anime cosplays, to throwing himself into, well, let's say the most seediest sides of Japanese culture, Kana has evolved into one of the internet's most recognizable figures. He didn't just become one of Twitch's most viewed creators overnight, he became a man who's beloved by many while raising $3 million for charity while completely redefining what it means to stream in the streets of Japan. This is how CDawgVA changed Japan's IRL scene forever. But how did Kana go from making voice acting videos in his bedroom in Wales to become one of the biggest content creators in Japan? Well, let's go back in time a bit to 2019. Kana alongside Giguk and a few other creators moved to Japan thanks to a little company known as Geeks Plus to start what is known today as the Trash Taste Podcast, which I have a great video on if you're interested. The podcast starred Kana, Joey the Anime Man, and Giguk, and they saw success almost immediately. While all three of them were under the Anituber umbrella, they quickly expanded from talking about anime to daily life in Japan and, well, stuff like this.
Most parts of the chicken, in terms of like the skin and the, you know, because the wing is just an extension of the breast in terms of how the meat is. The meat.
I'm about to fucking leave.
I didn't say that.
Fucking God.
I don't take responsibility for that statement.
That dynamic was special. It wasn't so serious like the Joe Rogan podcast. It had a vibe that they didn't really take themselves seriously, but while keeping that professional edge. What further helped with a guest like Ladybird, Sid Snap, Shibuya Kaho, and Mr. Appleball himself, Chris Broad. Chris became a fan favorite. What really stood out was his dynamic with Connor. Being two British guys with their snarky, dry humor naturally rubbed off on one another. But something else with Chris rubbed off on Connor: his style of content. While Connor hasn't outright said Chris was the driving factor for his shift in content, it's impossible not to draw some connections. Connor started making IRL content that was completely different from what came before, with his first video being I went to a yaoi cafe, which is honestly kind of fitting for a Black Butler fan. I joined the host club, I worked in Japan's biggest airport, and one of my personal favorites, I joined a Japanese metal band, which is actually the video that put me onto CDawgVA. These videos were a recipe for views. Connor's awkward, dry humor mixed with Japanese culture was a perfect blend. He eventually started collaborating with Chris on Wacky Weekend. Connor's transition was the key for the success he needed. While Abroad in Japan remains the biggest Japan-related YouTube channel and has been around since 2012, Chris and Connor's approach to documenting Japan is completely different. Chris takes a more grounded approach. He isn't a weeb. Connor, however, sees Japan through the lens of a weeb, and I think that's what draws people to him. He explored aspects of Japan that other big creators weren't doing at the time. He might have not been the first to do it, but he was definitely the one to push it into the algorithm. Now, as well as his YouTube content was going, Connor started to dip his toes into streaming. Usually his content consists of what you expect: talking to chat, playing video games, with fellow streamers like Iron Mouse and Premiere 2. But then, Connor started doing IRL streaming in Japan, and this is what actually blew him up on Twitch. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know the ins and outs of Twitch, because honestly, I don't watch streamers at all besides my boy King JJ. Go subscribe to his channel right now. But I do know enough to understand that standing out on Twitch is incredibly hard. It doesn't matter how big you are on YouTube, what works there doesn't always work on Twitch. And this is exactly why Connor's IRL content in Japan worked. IRL streaming has become massive in recent years, especially thanks to people like iShowSpeed. Because Japan is so popular, people naturally want to know what it's actually like without editing or fillers from a YouTube video. This is what made Connor's content perfect. Connor would simply walk around the streets of Tokyo, whether that was him drinking with the lads or befriending Japanese people on stream. It felt real. It felt as if you were right there with him in that bar in Roppongi. But one series in particular changed his IRL content forever. In 2022, Connor started a series known to Twitch as Cyclothon. He and Chris Broad would cycle 500 miles across Hokkaido to raise money for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. And this wasn't just a random choice, it was deeply personal. It was inspired by one of his closest friends, Einmos, who suffers from the condition. The streams did numbers. It was one of the best examples I've ever seen of an online community coming together. But while it was wholesome, it showed a side of Japan that most people never get to see. Biking through the countryside means hitting empty countryside roads and grueling mountains. Instead of the polished version we usually see, we got beautiful natural scenery and tiny quiet towns. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Because it was live, we got to see Japan through the purest lens possible, including the bad parts like xenophobia and the awkwardness of being a foreigner. But it was the real side of Japan that many people were searching for, and because of that, it was a massive success. Connor raised over $310,000 on his first trip. It wasn't just about the money or the charity. It wasn't some low-quality shaky stream. Connor had members of Abroad in Japan's team like Paul Barrett bringing high-quality production throughout the trip. They had a support van following with multiple cameras to make sure the stream never cut out. It felt like a high-quality TV show, but it was happening in real time. Connor has continued Cyclothon, bringing guests like Premier 2, who is actually now a permanent member of Vanguard, with Connor now raising over $3 million for the cause, which is insane. And that's not even getting into his charity auction streams, where he auctions off items from other creators. It's at the point where Connor is basically the go-to Japan guy for any major streamer visiting the country. We saw this recently with Jason the Ween, with him acting as his personal tour throughout Tokyo. Seeing Connor and Jason on stream while Connor was wearing his fresh as fuck JoJo suit was the ultimate collision of two different streaming worlds. It showed that no matter what part of the internet you're from, Connor is the bridge if you come to Japan. So the biggest coincidence just happened. Connor just uploaded a video saying that he's doing Cyclothon 5, which is such an insane coincidence considering this video was actually recorded and written before the announcement. I'm actually about to edit the video now. So yeah, that's just an insane coincidence. The link to the trailer for Cyclothon 5 will be in the description down below. Honestly, I can't wait to see how much money Connor can raise this time and who else will be on this trip. You know, of course, Chris will be there. Can't wait to see, Premier 2 again, and hopefully Joey the Anime Man, PewDiePie. Just so many great figures. But yeah, man, just insane coincidence. Connor became more than just an Anituber or another foreign content creator in Japan. He's a demonstration of what happens when you have the right mindset. He showed that you can go from making voice acting videos in your bedroom to cycling across a whole other country while making a genuine difference while doing so. Connor proves with fresh, innovative ideas and a lovable British personality and a tiny bit of hard work, you can become successful yourself. And I'm taking his ideology and putting it into this channel. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by June, so if you want to help out, consider doing that down below. Also, if you're interested, check out my video on trash taste and Mr. Appleball himself. Well, that's all for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.